hang on. Where's the O3 version? Give me the O3 version. Yeah. That's not the O3. I want to see the O3 version, but you've got restock soon on top of it, which means I can't effing see the picture. You guys frustrate the shit out of me sometimes with your web pages. We just start saying woosah. Serenity now. Serenity now! Blunty, some people say that if you're angry and stressed all the time, that there are herbal solutions to that. As a person with a background in that, what do you think? You think it would help me be a calmer, less stressed person? Give me your honest answer.
No.
Why do you say that?
Because I don't think that's true. I think that's the BS garbage.
No? I mean, if I drink alcohol, I have in my life smoked cannabis, but not in a long time. But if I drink alcohol, like it changes my affect and my mood, at least for the next, say, hour and a half. But it doesn't really change like who I am as a person.
Right.
2, 3, 4, 6, 12 hours later, I'm still. So there certainly are people who just smoke cannabis all day, every day.
Yeah. I don't think it changes your relative level of dealing with stuff.
No?
No.
Interesting.
I've known way too many angry hippies. That's for sure.
That's the thing. Hold on. We'll talk about these antennas in a second. I know what you're talking about. Like the hippies, they're angry and they smoke pot. And then I knew a guy and he was an all day, everyday smoker. And one day he decided he was going to clean his act up and he stopped smoking. And then he went through like 2 weeks of withdrawal. And when he settled on the new normal without smoking, he was so much more angry. I don't know. Is that an argument that he was actually successfully mediating his mood? I mean, he was angry.
Here's what I'll say. I think it's possible it might help, but I don't think there's any I don't think it's like saying you can take this Xanax and have less anxiety, because that's accurate. Let's forget about the other effects and issues. But I don't think you can say take this pot and you'll be happier. Or you'll be more relaxed. I don't think that's the case. That's what I would say. I think that's the case with more pharmaceutical things, but I think there's 130 cannabinoids or something we've identified, and it's just too different for each people. Just as an example.
Yeah, go ahead.
An example.
Okay.
We did for people who don't know, I ran a cannabis grow, and I thought it would be fun to give samples to the growers and the employees and make them fill out a form. So I gave them 4 grams, a gram of each of 4 strains, and I made them fill out forms, but they didn't know which grams they got and what the strains were.
Yeah, okay.
And none of them knew if they got the same grams or different grams or what was in them or whatever. You could have thrown darts at a board and gotten the same results as my responses got.
Because
I mean,
everybody's like
therapeutic effect, feeling, energy, anxiety, none.
Oh, he's dropping out. There goes the storm. Right as it was getting interesting. Oh my God, did we just lose him? Oh, damn it. I keep waiting for him to come back. He's going to talk for 2 minutes before he realizes he's gone. You were saying the effect. People were very interested to hear what you were about to say. The effect was completely inconsistent. Go ahead. You want to sort of rewind to a stopping point and then start again?
Yeah. So just to be clear, I essentially I gave everybody samples. I think I said I gave a gram to each person, 4 grams to each person.
You had 4 grams. The chat was very impressed with you giving 4 grams to your employees and said they wanted to work for you.
Oh, you guys have no idea. I don't fuck around with that kind of stuff.
For the record, this was legal in your state.
100%.
Just so the YouTube overlords know that we're not criminals like that degenerate bot grinder. I'm joking.
Go
ahead.
All right. So basically, yeah, I gave him a sheet. So the sheet was like 15 or 20 questions, and it was all like, how does this therapeutically make you feel? Did you have any ailments, and did it feel like they cured them? And like all those kind of things. And then rate the, sleepiness on 1 to 5, and rate anxiety relief on 1 to 5, and like, all those kind of things. And it literally was like you're throwing a dart at the board. I mean, none of them matched up. There was no correlation. Now, this was across 30 employees.
Wow.
So maybe that's not enough for the scientificness of it.
That's almost enough to be scientifically relevant.
Maybe I didn't do it quite right, or maybe, I don't know. I can't tell you for sure. But yeah, I mean, to me, it's got to be all personal. It's got to be like, it's how it affects you and what it's going to do to you. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like a lot of, like, for instance, I feel like a lot of the pain relief isn't necessarily CB1 and CB2 receptors changing the pain intake. Maybe it is a little bit. Maybe some people can speak to that. But I bet more of it is taking your mind off of the pain and the general feeling of those sorts of things, right?
There's no question that, I mean, this is not a scientific statement or a medical statement, just a personal one. There's no question that the amount of attention you have to focus on pain or discomfort significantly affects your perception of it. That if you are engaged and distracted, you can forget your pain. Like, so I totally buy that as a possibility. Yeah, that's interesting though. So you would say the whole, like you go into a dispensary and the guy's like, if you have anxiety, get this one. If you want to sleep, get this one. And you think that's all way too unpredictable in your experience?
I do. In fact, we were afraid at our dispensaries whether we wanted to do that or not, because you're giving medical advice essentially. So
sure.
What we did was essentially used the Leafly guide to the strain and use that as our backup. So essentially we would go by a website and this, basically this set of documentation recommends it for these things.
Right.
And that's the best we can do essentially. But what I found was he would just recommend something. The customer would come back in the next week and go, nope, that didn't work for me. And then you try the next thing and you hit about 5 pieces of the spectrum, but essentially you find what that person needs for what they're trying to do.
Yeah, interesting. I wonder, it's really curious. Now we're just shooting the shit about cannabis, but okay, this is our new podcast for one episode. I wonder if, like, as cannabis becomes more socially acceptable and legalized and experimented on, you got all these cannabinoids in here. And one of the things that medical science does is extract individual substances, try to quantify their effect, and then turn them into a drug that they can sell, which of course, but I wonder if, and maybe there's already research being done on this, specific cannabinoids that have specific effects that can then be reproducibly dosed, instead of having a strain that you grow and then there's a million cannabinoids and maybe it's kind of mostly reproducible but not as predictable. I don't know.
Yeah, I believe there's both a THC-based one and a CBD-based one that are primarily used for seizure relief. I can't remember the name of them, but they're drug companies that have already patented. It's like Epidiolex or something like that, and like another one. But yeah, there are companies who are doing that with the bigger ones. But I expect we'll find a lot more about smaller ones or interesting like changes or anything like that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it'd be like, I mean, you've got morphine and you've got fentanyl, and then it would be like if you were just using sort of opium poppies and opium tea, and like there's pros and cons to both sides. I guess. I wonder.
I think that's a good analogy.
In 30 years, will we see cannabinoids in a similar way that we have like opiates extracted and isolated and synthesized? It's very interesting.
Yes. I think the answer is probably yes, just because that's where everything's sort of headed.
Oh, that's too bad. I saw somebody in the chat say cannabis lowers blood pressure. Now somebody said it doesn't.
It tends to lower blood pressure and lower blood sugar, but in the short term. So like immediate. Like you take it and immediately within 30 minutes, you tend to see a little drop in blood sugar and a little drop in blood pressure. But I don't know if there's any long-term change in blood pressure or blood sugar.
So I got to keep taking my lisinopril. Damn. All righty. Well, thank you for that, Blunty.